much. I call on Alec Rowley to close for Labour. Again, a firm 6 minutes, Mr Rowley.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. In speaking in this debate today, I want to make clear that I very much recognise the sovereign right of the Scottish people to determine the form of government that is best suited to their needs. And that is the position of the Labour Party, and that is why we've brought forward the amendment today that says that. I recognise that during the 2014 referendum, and I have recognised it in debates since, and I recognise it now. I also do not disagree with the motion brought forward by the First Minister today when it recognises that nothing in the Smith Commission report prevents Scotland from becoming an independent country in the future should the people of Scotland so choose. That's just a matter of fact. I also agree that there has been a material change in circumstances since 2014. However, there is no evidence whatsoever to suggest that the material change to the UK, namely Brexit, has resulted in any material change in public opinion towards either independence or indeed the desire to have another independence referendum. The 2014 vote was 45-55, and 6 years on, all the evidence suggests that there has been little movement either way, so the country remains absolutely divided on this question. That said, poll after poll has demonstrated that there is no majority right now demanding another referendum. They are more concerned, I would suggest, about the impact of Brexit and what that will mean for Scotland and for the people of Scotland. Now, I hear people saying, what about the general election result? Is that not a mandate? I would refer to Professor Sir John Curtis and his recent blog where he outlined 2 polls that took place during that election campaign that specifically asked the people's view on whether or not they supported or opposed holding another referendum during this next year. Ipsos Murray found that 42% supported the idea and 50% opposed. Panel-based found that 38% supported the idea of another referendum in this year, with 51% opposed. This led Professor Curtis to say, and I quote, "On the basis of this evidence, it is difficult to argue that there is clear majority support for holding a referendum on the timescales proposed by the Scottish Government." So, yeah.
Alec Neil.
Can I thank the member for taking an intervention? The argument that we put forward is an argument about the timing of the referendum, and the resolution says the Parliament would determine the timing of the referendum, and therefore Labour would obviously vote accordingly at that time. But does he not agree with all the other principles laid out in the motion? What other principles in the motion does he disagree with?
Alec Rowley.
My reading of the motion is that the Scottish Government are calling for a referendum in 2020. We have been absolutely clear that we absolutely respect the right of the Scottish people to determine their own future. But what I've just set out there demonstrates that right now there is no majority in Scotland calling for an independence referendum. And I can understand that because people are genuinely and sincerely worried about what the impact of Brexit is going to be, whether we will, because there is still a serious risk that we could crash out without a deal by the end of this year. And so what we're saying is that, yes, we respect the right of the Scottish people to determine their own future, but right now we respect the fact that there is no majority in Scotland right now demanding a second independence referendum. And you've got to ask yourself, therefore, who is the First Minister representing with this motion here today? I would suggest that is a minority within Scotland at this current time, deciding that the best course of action amidst this period of great political, constitutional and economic upheaval to hold another independence referendum is, in my view, simply ill-conceived. it is also disingenuous to the people of Scotland for a clear picture of what they would be voting for cannot be presented to them, no matter what Mike Russell says, because we would not know what we were voting for until the dust on Brexit settles. We will not know what the impact has been on Scotland, the UK and indeed the rest of Europe. It is essential that the negative consequences of Brexit are properly dealt with and mitigated before any clear proposals come forward. But on the question of mitigation, I have to say that those that are most disingenuous in this chamber today are the members of the Tory party and the Liberal party on those benches opposite, because the hypocrisy of their amendments is to identify education, health and all these other public services when it's absolutely clear that the main factor in the poor public services in this country over the last few years has been failed Tory austerity. Failed Tory austerity that was introduced when the coalition came into place. The mitigation of £100 million for the bedroom tax, an abhorrent tax that was introduced by Smiling Willie Rennie's party and the Tory party. That £100 million, if it was not being used to mitigate welfare cuts, would be ploughed into our schools and elsewhere. So I would conclude, Presiding Officer, by saying this. Labour supports the democratic right of the Scottish people to determine their own future, and we will continue to do so. But right now there is no demand for another referendum. The parties, the progressive parties that want to see us tackle the issues and want to see the powers in this Parliament to tackle the big issues should work together, come together and work on an agenda for greater powers for this Parliament to address the issues of Scotland.
Thank you.